Everyone, this is our first Get Free to It live. I don't know if there's any former listeners. I can't even see the chat, so this is sort of our first time navigating through this. So if I know if you've heard us before or watched the show, slap a GFTI there in the chat. Next time, we'll probably figure out a better way to manage this, but it's exciting. It's our first one. This is episode 32. For anyone who's listening or will listen, but this has been... I think I started Get Free to It like a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. And over the years, we had a couple seasons, a couple intermittent periods as TIA shows came up, Broker Carrier Summit, all the shows going on in the industry. And this one's something new. We're going to do this every Wednesday, shooting for 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll see what happens. But I want to try to be more frequent, more regular, more consistent with everybody because there's a lot of topics going on. I think even just the recession that was or is or who knows, and just where do we go from here with tariffs and just technology, tech fatigue, the tech that you've already got, or even just what else is going on. And that's really what this podcast is about. We talk about everything and anything under the sun of logistics and pretty much get right to it. So with that, I'm going to add Rachel Backfisch to the stage. I think I got you.
Hey.
There we go. All right, we did it. The first one live. So this is pretty exciting. Very exciting. So we've been partners with Greenscreens for about a year and a half, something like that. I don't know if we ever had Greenscreens on Get Free to It. So welcome to opening the live session. So that's exciting. Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself and Greenscreens and what you do and where you've been and cat's name, dog's name, all that stuff.
Are you sure? Because I'll talk forever. No, first off, thanks for having me. Super honored to be your first live guest on the show. I think that's fun, right? With more real life. But yeah, I'm Rachel Backfisch or Backfisch, as you said earlier. It is German, but yeah. I head up customer success at Greenscreens.ai. So we have a team of about 12 customer success badasses that make sure that when we're bringing customers in, we are helping them understand not just the what, but the how and the why, specifically behind Greenscreens, keeping them happy throughout the partnership, et cetera. I have been here about 2 years and a couple of months. Greenscreens.ai is a predictive pricing platform for those that don't know, for brokers and 3PLs in the full truckload space. We got more stuff coming, but that's just a simple explanation. And my background is probably very different than a lot of your other guests. I actually spent the first 15 years of my career in the tobacco industry. Yeah, Reynolds American, slinging cigs, as we used to say. But I was in their trade marketing team, which is essentially sales, account management. It's customer success, right? We were definitely working with a very different product, but I was in the people and the account management business. Moved around the country, landed in an awesome leadership role, loved the culture. We'll just say a lot of things changed, and kind of had this mid-career epiphany that you don't have to do this for the next 15 years. So I left, had no idea what I was going to do next, and sort of landed headfirst in logistics. I met Bill Catania, who's the CEO of One Rail. It's a final mile logistics software company. Spent some time there building out their strategic accounts team. And then 2 years ago, recruiter contacted me. What's up, Wasim? Introduced me to Dawn, and Dawn told me all about the product and the people, and I said, I want to be a part of that. So that's my brief history. Been here, like I said, a little over 2 years, and absolutely love it. Having a blast. Yeah,
that's awesome. So you always dreamt of being in logistics then, right? No.
Yeah.
Everyone that you just end up in it. I remember I was at Robinson. So I think I was finishing my last 2 courses online. And when I took a job at Robinson, and I was like, what is this? I don't know what logistics is. And what really got me excited, we went to lunch with up in Dallas, DFW area. And I was in an elevator with them, and I was like, so what do you guys do? And you know, all the trucks that you see that like moves across, like we're pretty much the Wizard of Oz. Like we make that happen. And there's pretty much everything you eat, drink, consume has been moved by truck at some point. And like that, I think when I was, you know, I was just a carrier rep, but I was like, this, you know, I think the official title was like buyer. So it sounded pretty cool right out of college. So I was like, that was really what kept me in. I think just that when you think of it in the grand scheme of things, these glasses, this phone, this stuff back here, like all of it was brought in by a truck at some point. It's just really cool to just see everything change and evolve. I think that's what keeps me going, keeps me moving, because there's still like spreadsheet sticky notes that people use. And I think one of my friends, Vin at Fenice, he had a picture posted out on LinkedIn with what booking freight looked like. I think it was like in the 70s or something. I don't know. It could have been the 20s. Who knows? It was that far back. Just kidding, Vin. But yeah, no. So they didn't have computers on their desk. It was crazy to not see that, and like that's like expected now. You can't really do anything without that. So it's interesting to hear, you know, to the topic today, how customer success has evolved. But I want to first talk about something. There was a post out by a company, Infinite Renewals, that I caught. I don't know if it was like earlier this week or whatnot, but I want to say they're like a consulting company. I'm not totally sure, but there was a post out there that asked, are customer success platforms worth the hefty price tag? And it's like, you know, they go in to talk about somewhere in a range of $40,000 to $100,000 a year. We had one. It was good, but there were things that like we could do already with what we had. And you know, what we use, we sort of have like the Frankenstein of stuff now that like, you know, we can talk more about it later, but for you guys, like, you know, in a scheme of scale, I guess, like size of green screens, like do y'all don't use like a CS platform, right? I mean, would you say it's worth the price tag, like even in your past?
I mean, so here's what I would say. I mean, I've been in the corporate world where we had all the, you know, tech resources that you can imagine. I've been in a couple startups now. We have not used one. We've been doing, I always say like a lot with a little, but it's working for us. We have the right people that are managing that stuff. I think when you get to a certain point, and when you have specific tactics that you have to execute every day over and over and over, then it might make sense. So for us, it hasn't made sense yet. I think it will soon. We're at like 230 customers. You know, the CSMs have been managing tickets as an example. We, you know, literally just get an issue from a customer. We log it in HubSpot, dev team. We've got all the integration set up behind the scenes. Dev team has, you know, their hands on it, and we're just constantly communicating. So I would say, yes, it is worth it if you're going to use it and it's going to help you scale, and it should all tie back like anything to ROI. Are you going to be able to do more and then make more money because you are paying for this platform?
Yeah, I think there's and they talk a little bit more about in that post, like shelfware syndrome. That like, do they really use it? I know what we had used. We didn't use all the bells and whistles, because we also had HubSpot that had a lot of things in there that we could replicate playbooks or whatever it would be. And the other part is like a delayed ROI, that it's hard to recognize a return on something like that. It takes a little bit. It's not going to be just like implementation. How long is that? And that's the same thing for tech in logistics. Like, it's not going to be, I mean, sure. There are sometimes somebody can log in and see that immediate ROI. Like, damn, I just found a carrier for my next 400 loads that I didn't have anywhere else. Or like, this price just won me my next 400 loads just because I used Greenscreens, right? And I think back to that initial comment of, is it worth it? And where you guys are at, and, you know, us as well. Shout out to my girl, Jessie Thomas at Highway. Said, people buy from people one time in one of our conversations. And that's just the same thing here. Like, in logistics and brokerage, it's so relationship driven, and everybody knows that relationships are, important. It's hard to form, and people get sucked to this like transactional nature. And I think it's just where I feel like the CS platform is like, oh, I don't think we're quite ready for it yet. Like, you guys, it took a bit, right, to get to scale. And but there's other things that we've already had to be scrappy with figuring out what we had and how we use it. Like we have, I don't know, probably 5 applications that we use to read through data as a load comes through. We can see every single field on that load, and if something doesn't go as expected, we can look and identify that without having a CS platform. So it's interesting to see kind of what happens. I think another thing is the evolution of customer success, because when you and I were talking, for brokers that are listening, like there's customer success hasn't really been around for like that long. I think it's 15 years maybe. I mean, and everybody knows how laggard of an industry supply chain, or rather logistics, is, and that it went from like customer service to customer support to like success. And I think that's where, if you're a tech company talking to a brokerage or a carrier company, asset company, like talking to your tech people, how do they look at customer success? So I guess to pass to you, Rachel, like how have you seen customer success evolve, maybe in your past to Greenscreens when you came on to where it is today?
Yeah. I mean, first I would say, and this is across all industries, just the way we communicate, right? I used to have a voicemail line and a fax number on my business card back in the day.
Your pager?
Yeah, so it's kind of dating me a little bit, but so, the virtual capabilities, and I think this is mostly good, right? Like we can touch more people, have more face-to-face. I'm got to do this.
Yeah.
And that's important for us to have the reach and scale. And I do think on the other side, it's taken away the true face-to-face, which my humble opinion, it doesn't get any better than that. So like we've had to be cognizant of, let's go out and schedule on-site visits at least this many times a year for key customers, things of that nature. And then one other thing we've done recently is we promoted one of our OG CSMs to training and adoption manager. Her role is just going to be going out to customers' offices where we may have adoption concerns, or we just need additional kind of, in-person training. We're just going to deploy her to be physically there. And I think that will, help with even stronger connections than we're able to create virtually. But I don't know, for me, I think it's down to the options that brokers have. Even in 2 years, I've been here 2 years and 2 months in freight. Yeah. And the amount of tech companies that now exist that are all like fighting for the broker share of wallet, if you will. Yeah. I think that has just made it even more important, obviously, to have a good product that's actually working and solving a problem. But for us in CS, it's making sure we have the right people in place that are helping our customers get the value out of that product. Because the product can be great, but if the end user is not using it in a way that produces business results, you're going to be on the chopping block whenever tech budgets are being assessed. And we know that's happening. So I don't know, those would be some of the bigger changes I've seen both in the last 20 years and then just in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that adoption thing is that's a big one, because it's I mean, we use some tools like Amplitude. Use like, what's it called? My team's gonna hate me if I don't remember the words. It's like Datadog, DBeaver, some other things that we look at. We call it the logs or whatever. And like these things are, if there's not a sort of mixing two things here, boots on the ground, like it's sort of what you're saying, right? But it's also us. We're sort of living your day to day. Like we see every load that comes over, and we can help debug or like we can help interpret your data, so that way you're not having to do it. And it's like we're, same for y'all too, an extension of their team. It's not like we're just technology. Like you're also an extension of their team, because you're analyzing the rates, like how I think y'all use like a deviation meter or something, right? Like how close is it to the accurate buy or something? You can explain more of that in a second, but like I think that adoption piece is, if you're a brokerage out there and you're like, you end up hanging the hat on something, or that, you know, hey, we hadn't used it, so we're just gonna, you know, turn it off. But I mean, really, when you first bought, what was the problem going on? Yeah, what was the main issue? Like, did you give up on that problem? Like, if it was, we need to win more freight, that means we need Greenscreens to like get more business. And then if they churn, did you give up on that or what? And so it's like, I think we as tech companies, like this customer success, it's not service, it's not support. I mean, yes, those are part of it, but it is also, we want to make sure you're just as successful as anybody. Like, and it's not just left to you to do that. Like, we had, to your comment about boots on the ground, I had a customer down here in Houston. It was like a week and a half ago or something. And it was just like, you know, I had went up to their office before, and like just that face-to-face interaction, it really means a lot. Like, you can just talking to their end user. And it's funny too, when you sit by somebody, at least on our side of things, like in freight matching and capacity lookups, like where they're clicking isn't what I would expect them to do. Like tab, enter, whatever TMS they use is probably going to dictate what their function is on their keyboard. And like when you're sitting next to somebody in their office, you can see that where adoption lacks or where it's great at. So tell me, I guess, a little bit, like, how do you guys look at adoption? What's like, let's call it a North Star metric. Like what do y'all measure to see, to like make sure somebody's successful?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I have to mention, because I'm really proud of this. We hire people that have sat in our end user seats, right? So on the CS team, I have most of my CSMs were in brokerage for like 15 years before coming over to the tech side. So that's really important to make sure we get that initial buy-in, which has to come before the adoption, and really like, and communicate, again, not what buttons to push and what this technically does, but how you're going to use this in your day-to-day, you know, life to make your life easier. So that's one thing. And then, you know, we'd spend a lot of time just learning. So, you know, right, first call we have is a scoping call with a new customer, and we're figuring out, hey, who's your change agent? Who's going to be leading setting expectations with your team on how they should be utilizing this tech. That we're even asking customers in the implementation stage to bring in naysayers, like bring in your super users and your leaders, but also bring in people that you know are going to be resistant to change, because we're going to win them over, and then others are going to see that, and that's going to be really helpful for true adoption. So there's a lot. I mean, a lot of things that we do early on to learn, to understand specific use case, provide tailored training. And then throughout, the way that we view adoption is, you know, obviously we have reports that we can pull that shows us true, you know, usage in the UI. And we have a lot of customers that get those reports on a weekly basis. So they're even able to manage, hey, you know, how's my team utilizing the platform? We're bringing it to the table. We've talked a lot over the last couple of years about being proactive and going to a customer and saying, hey, look, it doesn't look like you're getting the same usage today as you were. And it's kind of scary, because it's like, do I want to bring that up? But yeah, I get it. So that we can address this together. And then it's obviously just staying connected. So we don't, you know, once we implement someone, we're still having weekly calls until a customer basically says like, hey, we're good. We can go to biweekly or monthly. And so during those check-ins, we're asking, you got to lean on the data, but also, you know, ask what customers are telling you to understand where there might be opportunities to, I don't want to say reset, but like go back to some of the basics. Brokers hire new people all the time, right? Like you can't expect to train, right before go live, and then a year later, let's be honest, you can't expect that they have these like strong training programs in place. Not every broker anyways, that is aimed at making sure every single new person understands how to use every single tech product that they purchased. So we do a lot in the retraining as well.
Yeah, there's Nick Dangles over at Think. Yeah,
we use Think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely a gap that, man, like, because we are I mean, we're, like I said earlier, extensions of their team. Like, we're almost like consultants to, we see the data that comes through, and we can interpret your load to carry ratio. We can tell you, when these loads moved, like you overpaid by 15 grand for all 15 loads or whatever it was. And like, why did you give up on that? Like, I mean, is that part of your goal to lose money, or like, and then it's the other conversation is, like, do we rock the boat? Like, if somebody's not seeing the same value as somebody that is booking 250 loads a month at zero touch, like, as you scale your business, let's say you used Greenscreens to get even a combo, right, of Greenscreens and C4, because you don't really need anything else, but using a combo of that, and you win business, and you can't have the same cost per load every single load. God, I hope not. I hope it doesn't go higher either. Like, because if you won that load at $100, $100 margin, and you're having to post that load every single time, you have to make $101 to even make $1. And I think that's something that people forget. And like, you have Greenscreens, like you should constantly be evaluating, like, where am I on the market? Like, why, like, I can be winning more. And just like, how accurate, and which lanes should I be winning versus like just randomly bidding. We just came outside or something. There's something going on outside. No, I think just like from that part, like, what are some use cases of onboarding that you've seen that maybe in both cases, like, I'm happy to share a story too, but like one that has like just out of the gate just knocked it out of the park, and then some, if there's some that like, man, we had to like come back and work on this account to finally get them to where they needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, we've so both ends of the spectrum, right? We've had customers that, for lack of a better way of putting it, they come to us and they've got their shit together, right? Like, they're making this purchase decision with a lot of thought. It's, it's not a light decision. And so they are coming to us fully understanding, again, change agents, how they're going to how they want to structure the rollout to their teams. We want to have training sessions every 6 months for new hires, like that occurs. On the total other end is sign a contract, dude won't email us back. we can't get, if the whoever to email us back. In those cases, it's just all hands on deck, right? We get with sales, we make sure that that all the expectations were set, and that we get the communication rolling. But like, to me, it really is comes down to how a customer is making a decision, and if he or she is set up to, like, they see the true value, and they're willing to put the skin in the game to make sure their team gets the value out of the platform.
That's a hard thing when they're so excited to buy and purchase, and then like there's I don't know what happens, but it's like maybe their intent to use it changed somehow, but their outcome didn't. What they wanted, like, and sometimes that's not explained to sales, I guess, like the rollout and what's the outcome that you're looking for. If we focus on that, and because we've had people that have bought and they were like, well, what I intended to use it for, well, you didn't tell us that at the beginning, like, what, but that's okay. Like, what about this outcome? Because this is where people are seeing a lot of value in. Does that align with what you're trying to do and the outcome that you want? Like, that's always a challenge. And like, if you buy something, I mean, you got to like put one of our customers said, we know there's going to be a little bit of elbow grease. And like, one thing that I've learned from the last, 6 months or so is that, and I wish we had done this more in the beginning, is like, brokers love control, and the more work we give them, like the less is going to happen. Like
Yeah.
if we tell them like, hey, you can do this, like this is how you do it. Like we know how it's going to be intended to use, but that the broker doesn't often, it doesn't like translate down to the end user. And it's like what we've learned is that, all right, well, we're just going to take over the implementation completely. And let's keep you in your TMS, keep you rolling, and all you do is build the load. The load's going to get booked. Offer is going to go out. Load gets assigned to the carrier. RateCon sends out, and just clockwork, right? And like for you guys, like how do y'all is that onboarding piece? Like what's like the sticking point for people? Like they're like, man, that was like success. Like that was a successful onboarding. Is there like a process there that you guys look to?
Yeah, I mean, so we're first off from day one, we're well, I should back it up. We're getting the necessary information from sales before we meet with the customer. That's super important. And we spend a lot of time, I don't want to say, kind of formalizing that. We understand the use case, right? We understand how the broker is going to use it. But then from day one, we're laying out really, really succinctly, like, this is what you should expect. Here's the timeline. This is what we need from you. This is what we're going to provide to you. So just clear expectations up front. And like you said, brokers, they're busy. They're hustling. Yeah. So they need to know, okay, I need to provide data in this many days. I need to have my API, data sync set up by this date. And so that's important. And then just ongoing communication, right? Like somebody told me years ago, at the root of all problems, somewhere there's a lack of communication. And that's so true in any industry or any role. So ongoing communication, we're meeting at least weekly, if not more, back and forth as needed. And then for us, like we set up very clear success metrics. And I think this is really important. So we don't go live with a customer until we have hit these success metrics. And you mentioned it earlier. We use, it's the percent error, right? So where are we telling you you're going to book versus where you're actually booking? Yeah. And when we get to sub 10 error, then the model's healthy. That's like the best in the industry. Done a lot of research. We feel okay saying thumbs up. You can now roll this out to your team, and training too. So our success metrics are around the error, the accuracy essentially, and training, making sure that we have at least a group of super users trained on the product. That's when we say, okay, thumbs up. So clarity and expectations, and then following that along the way is critical for customers to say, okay, that felt good. That wasn't painful. I'm okay.
We actually won freight.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Like, it's not just a rating tool. Isn't just, the sun is shining plus or minus $200. Like, I think just having a team backing it, like your buying power, is a lot more beneficial. Like, I mean, if you don't have any business winning loads from Provo, Utah to Green River, Wyoming, then why would you even like spend time on that when there's probably Greenscreens can tell you where you should be buying? Like that's I think that's just a scalable process. And
how you mentioned it earlier, but really looking at the market, considering your buying behavior. And then we provide tools. We have a new module called Illuminate that points out very clearly where you're buying versus the market and where you need to go, direct your team to go buy better. Pretty cool. I was talking to a guy at Manifest that was at the booth, like before anything opened. It was just me there. And he started asking about Greenscreens, and I started going through the spiel, and I kind of saw him glaze over, and I just changed my tune. I was like, we do a lot of really cool shit with data. That's what we do, right? At the end of the day, we're doing cool things with data that are actionable and can help a customer improve their business results.
No BS, just GS.
No BS. That's
so on that note, I didn't tell everybody here, but if you want to stick around towards the end, we'll do like a brief 2 to 3 minute quick demo of Greenscreens and a little bit of like how the integration between Cargo Chief and Greenscreens looks. So we're calling these sort of minis. Next time I'll introduce it as that. So these are, instead of webinars, this is probably a better channel. I don't think anyone wants to sit around for an hour just listening to people chat. So I want to ask this, because you talked a little bit about the sales handoff, and like, you know, we opened this talking about a CS platform. So there was another post by somebody at Birdie. I couldn't really tell at a brief glance. I think they're a CS platform. Not totally sure, but he had a post out there that the marketing budget was $10 million. And I don't know in what context this is, but $10 million for marketing, $200,000 for support. This post further goes to say, like, we spend millions convincing people to become customers, then give support a sliver of that to help them stay. Support isn't just post-sale, it's brand, it's experience, it's retention. And yes, retention is also revenue. So why do we neglect our customers after acquiring them? For me, I think let me ask you, is that, I mean,
it seems imbalance for sure. I mean, look, I said it earlier, we've done a lot with a little, so it's not like we have a crazy budget, but no one, you know, it's not like we're running crazy budgets in any portion of the business, or have been. I would say that we have invested and I've seen others make a lot of cuts. We've invested on the people side. So we've got, like I said, great people with good experience. I think you stole extension of your team from us, because we say the same thing too, or maybe we stole it from each other.
Our partners.
Yeah. But we've invested on the people side. We've seen tech vendors cut CS completely, or, you know, quite a bit. And I think that's hurting them. So for me, yeah, it seems imbalanced, but at the end of the day, you got to invest in the people. And then when you're at the right scale, you got to invest in technology or travel, right? Like, we need the CS team to be able to go out. Maybe we're not going to all the conferences because we got stuff to do in our offices, but we're going to go out when we need to make sure that our customers are happy.
I think there was who was saying, I think it was Blythe.
I
can't remember her last name. Sorry if you're listening.
Mulligan, maybe
something like that. But it was a clip with another guy. I think it was like Sales Dash CRM or something like that. But she had mentioned a form on a website, and I'm curious for anyone listening, like, you know, your thoughts. If again, I wish I could see the LinkedIn comments. I was to be able to engage, but if you're looking at a form, I think she said I can't remember if it was like the least used form is like request a quote on a brokerage site, like and nobody uses it. Because like I think back to the marketing question, like, you know, we have demo and stuff like that. I feel like people are gonna look for things when they have problems, and like then they're gonna like find it. Like they're not just gonna just stumble upon, oh yeah, let me just, I need a quote. Like I feel like in the brokerage world, and I'm curious for anyone listening, like, is your quote form being used as it should be? And like, because I think for us, we know that when people submit a demo, there's like already genuine interest. Like they know who we are, they've heard about us, and it's a much warmer lead to where, like, I don't know, that marketing side, it's definitely unbalanced. But I think that like that's where this industry is right now. It's just like, you know, lead gen, like even for brokers, it's more. I'm curious if anyone has any feedback. Like, how do y'all, as a brokerage unit, how do you look at retention? What we're talking about, what we do, customer success and stuff, and making sure customers are successful. What do y'all do on the brokerage side versus just like net new leads or net new sales? Like, if there's anybody that wants to shoot me a message or anything, that I'm very curious to hear what people say on that. What do you think, Rachel? Like, do you think brokers spend more on retention or net new? I don't know.
I've from talking to our customers, I have seen a lot of investment with retention and current customers, in the way of, honestly, like bringing us in and then having a better foundation to go to a QBR and talk through, like, not just the rates that they're providing, but the market rates and demonstrating how we're helping you in your kind of budgeting, et cetera, or where we might, I've heard of cost plus efforts that brokers are working with current customers on to just provide more transparency. So I would say like there is, and in relationships, like anything in sales, right? Just maintaining that relationship with your customers so that they're not trying to go somewhere else and giving you more of your business. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've seen.
I think that's how people can look at this also. Like, because we, retention, for how we can help customers with retention is also like these loads. Like we have some that promote the process to shippers. Like, hey, we already have tangible capacity and it's there. It's, we've got 10 to 15 carriers on this lane that our process is set up to go to quality carriers. It's not going to get posted out into a marketplace. Like, we've already got this, we've already de-risked your freight. And I feel like that gives them like a sense of security or hope, I guess. I don't know. So they're not praying. And because I've even heard a lot of situations that brokers have customers that don't want their freight posted out there, and they'll like buy a license or something and they'll like be able to
for it.
Yeah. Or I've even heard too that in like if they post it out, and brokers are competing, whether it's asset-based brokerage or whatever, that another carrier can see that load out there and they're like, hey, they call the shipper and they're like, hey, these guys, they're posting your loads out. I saw it. Here's the proof. And it's like,
they're tattling.
Yeah, no, I know. But this is like, I think how maybe a different mindset is like, how is this tech that you're purchasing or using or have purchased or how is it going to help you with retention? Because like that's like we've sort of mentioned, it's sort of an underserved market like here. Like it's just because it's a new thing, well, newish. Obviously in other industries it's been out for a while, but not so much here. It's just a different way to think about it. So I think Can you share, because y'all have customers of different sizes, like what's the difference between, let's talk about the smaller end of the brokerage size, what that looks like, how do they use it versus, I think you mentioned some larger ones like NFI or somebody, like how do they use it differently, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing is we can work with anyone, right? From a broker that's just starting out, hasn't even moved a load, right? Someone that ventured off and on their own and they're going to build something that's theirs, all the way to the $1 billion+ brokerages. I would say that the steps we take are very similar in the way of, collect data, clean data, train models, continue cleaning data, get to a margin of error that hits our success criteria, go live. Those are like similar. But the differences are, first off, a starter brokerage is going to get access to our network rates. So we're going to show them, hey, well, this is what the market's buying at. We will build them a model once they have enough data to do so. We'll build them a model and they'll have the same kind of, functionalities as a larger broker. Larger brokerages obviously have all that data. And we're able to build a really healthy model fairly quickly, quite frankly. I mean, we've gone from, 60, I think when I started, average days to billing was, days to go live was 60 days. And now we're closer to like 45, but we can get customers live within 3 weeks if we have the right amount of data. And then I would say on the how they're using it front, so smaller brokerages, we may have a TMS integration, or they may just be going into the UI and getting rates transactionally. Whereas larger brokerages, they're focused on making sure that their teams are consistent and they're centralizing their pricing strategies. So they may never have anyone go into the UI. They're just pulling the rates via API into their own kind of pricing engines with a lot of decisioning logic built in. If the Greenscreens target rate has a confidence of this, just run with it. If the network rate is lower and high confidence, run with that. Add a couple margins. If the confidence is lower, there's a lot of different decisioning that then just spits a rate out to either the individual user or tons of automation, right? Tons of automation going on with not just larger. I've seen a lot of different brokerages start putting their toes in the automation space. So you may not even have true like end users with some of those larger organizations. They're pulling and driving themselves.
Yeah. The large ones, do they usually pull data for like to see what the market rate is for, or their buying rates, like their target? I think you guys, it's like a target buy rate. Like, do they pull it in their TMS to just see that on like a load by load, or do they do it for like RFPs, or how does what is that? Both? I don't know. All three?
Of the above. Yeah, honestly, all of the above, right? So, yes. So we have, brokerages that have proprietary platforms that they've essentially built like a green screens into their TMS. All the widgets almost are available for their end users, so that they're truly armed with all of that data when making decisions. And then, we have the batch rating tool that helps with RFPs. We do have, I got to remember, Intuition is coming out in the next week or so. So right now we're just Spot, but we'll have Intuition in the next week that will give that longer term pricing predictions for RFP support. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from a handful of customers that they're like, this is going to save us time. B, we're going to have more confidence when we're returning RFPs. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, it's always like people are always trying to predict what it can be, long term, and it's usually just, I don't know, go ask Bill or or that. yeah. I guess as we wrap up here, we'll get into a quick demo. But I think the last thing, what would you say like the biggest thing is that you've learned to make somebody successful? I think from the beginning of when you started to today, like, because our implementation process is different than it was 3 months ago, and we're constantly evolving and trying to figure out like, all right, that spreadsheet didn't work. Can we centralize all this information? Like, there's a lot of like work that goes into the beginning, and like I said earlier, what I know is that brokers don't, they're going to commit to it, but it's a lot of work. And so when we can automate that for them or get that process going, we see a lot higher adoption out of the gate rather than waiting 6 months down the line. But to ask you, what would you say big things that you've learned?
Yeah, I mean, so we've definitely grown in the way of like just better documentation provided to our customers. One thing that's helped a ton is our partnerships. They're growing their tech capabilities. So, we have a lot more customers now that don't require brokers to do much in order to get the integration up and running, even provide us historic data and or transactional data. I expect that to continue to grow. Those are I shouldn't say easy, but they are easy and smooth implementations when it's just literally like push a couple buttons and we have what we need. We got the models training, and oh, by the way, now you can see green screens rates, and the customer just had to like log a ticket or two, right? And it happens quickly and painlessly. That has been probably one of the biggest growths that has made implementation itself stronger. And then I already talked about it, but the true understanding of each customer's use case from the get-go and pushing if they haven't figured that out yet, and then letting that guide both the training and then the ongoing check-ins on adoption. That's been huge for us, but more formalization of that.
Yeah. It's really cool. Like, I'm not going to show our product today, but the green screens, like, to even make, you can share, but I think the way, like, the ease of adding it's just credentials, I think, is all they need for you guys. And then they can see green screens rate on our capacity platform. I think the coolest thing is the buy now rate. So like, typically, let's say somebody had to load Houston to Atlanta today, and they're typically going to go do something. They're going to go search, or they're going to ask, what should we be paying on this load? And I think the really unique thing with our partnership is that they don't have to think about that. Like if you trust Greenscreens already, if you have Greenscreens already, we can use your Greenscreens rate at a fraction, like 90% of Greenscreens rate, and we can send that load rate, that rate out to carriers rather than somebody having to spend it. Yeah, maybe it's a minute to think about like, what did we pay? You know, where are we at? I think it's just like, that's a minute every single load that you don't have to be doing. And that's like the power of, you know, I think there's even a combination that we could do, like yours, ours, you know, yours being more reflective of their buying power. And like we can do a combo of that and like send that rate out. So that way people don't have to think about things, and it's it just automates it out. And it's scary, but hey, I mean, customers trust us with their freight. And I think that's the big thing. Back to the beginning, people buying from people. Like if we're helping you scale your business, like we know that it takes a lot to trust us with your freight. Like, and we, because one load, maybe you underbid and then you're losing money. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen, but those are the conversations that we like to have. Rachel, I guess any last comments for anybody listening?
No, I mean, come see us. Whenever I talk to someone who's interested in getting a demo, I'll say, you know, go talk to the sales team, and I'm gonna come take care of you on the other side. That's my Boot Hill, Missouri coming out in me. But you know, if you want to learn more, go to Greenscreens.ai and book a demo, and then just know that you will be very well taken care of on the other side.
Yeah. All right. Same for Cargo Chief. If you want to learn how to get zero touch booking, go to cargochief.com and we'll hook you up. I think now we can probably get into a demo. I guess before, as you position your screen, we're both going to be at TIA, I believe.
That's right.
Broker Carrier Summit, I think.
Yep.
You guys as well? Yeah. So if y'all are around San Antonio, I think that's it's like next week, isn't it? Or 2 weeks, the 8th. Something like that, or the 9th.
Yeah, we're two and a half, something like that.
And come see us. And then Broken Carrier Summit. That's always a hoot. That's a good one. Get real conversations with people. So check those out.
The last 2 years in freight industry has been amazing. Like just learning the industry itself and how big but yet small it is. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick, rapid little demo here. I won't focus. There's so much on Greenscreens. So if you want to learn more, talk to our team. So this is our main page in the UI. I'm going to pull up a lane by putting my OD pair in here and push this get rate button. And this is going to provide what we talked about earlier, that target buy rate that is based on each individual broker's buying behavior. And, you know, like to say, even your big brokerages may not have the same kind of activity in a particular market or lane. They may still have an opportunity, right? You can't assume that just because you're a big brokerage, you're buying better than everyone else. So we also give you your target rate, but in line with that, the network rate, so that you can see where you're buying versus the network. And then I'll just kind of focus on this middle section here. What did I say earlier? We do a lot of cool shit with data. So we're taking each customer's data and presenting it back to them. And this is the actual network. So this is all of our $27 billion in annual truckload freight spend that's in our network. But we'll spit out your short-term history so each broker can see exactly where and how they've been buying. And then very importantly, want to call out capacity on tap. This is where we get to Cargo Chief. We provide you with your top carriers, and this is essentially from the transactional data that we're getting, so that you can see, the capacity and actually reach out to capacity from there. But we also have integrations with 6 different capacity providers. If you're a mutual customer, this will display in Greenscreens, and you can go to Cargo Chief and see the data that would be represented there. And what I love, full circle, we're not just showing you, we're letting you do something with it. You can request a bid from all carriers or just 1 or 2 and BCC within a couple seconds. To your point earlier, it's super fast, and you can get that that request out right away. Long-term history, and then I do like to call out the negotiation coach. This is taking data and turning it into essentially scripts for, think of a new broker that hasn't booked a lot of freight. Maybe they have Tom or whoever sitting over their shoulder telling them what to say when they're calling the carrier. This is serving as Tom. Tom can still be booking his own freight. And then James can use the negotiation coach to get those tips and tricks on how to negotiate with the carrier. So those are kind of the key highlights. There's a lot more. I would love for any of you that are interested to request a demo. And then, like I said, come see me and my team on the other side.
Can you hop down to that cargo chief slide again? So the cool thing here, so we have in our app, we have, I don't think it's there, but there's a score that takes in an account of quality, which means like if you use MCP, RMIS, or whatever compliance and onboarding you use, we build a score for you that it's not just because OD pairs. There's also ways to take your risk assessment that impact your score. So you're not just reaching out to a carrier just because they showed up as a match. And I think like the cool thing here is that if you're on like the sales side and you're just trying to get rapid capacity, there's a quick button right there in Greenscreens to toggle that out. And the other side is we can also automate that for you. So it's pretty cool integration here. Yeah. All right. Let me pull that back down. All right. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to move you backstage and then wrap it up here.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you again, Rachel.
All right. Talk soon.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining here. This first live episode is pretty awesome. We'll have a recording out. We'll send this out on Spotify, our page, and other things. We'll try to have it every Wednesday, same time, see what happens. And if there's any topics that you guys want to talk about or us to talk about or anyone wants to be on as a guest, feel free to reach out to me there on LinkedIn or Cargo Chief, our company page, and we'll be in touch. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Y'all have a good week.